Good morning and welcome to this week's Grow, where we gather to recharge, organize, and work here as members of MWEG. We are so glad that you are joining us. Today, we are going to give a little recap on the MWEG conference and just share some of the highlights that we each took away from our time together. Whether you joined us virtually or you joined us in person, we would love for you to join this conversation and talk about some of the things that you um, thought were the most meaningful to you, or information that you took away and thought, I just learned something new today, and now I'm going to go and act with this new information. Whether you're going to go and write a letter to one of your representatives, or you're going to jump into a new area of advocacy that MWEG is spotlighting, we'd love to hear what your thoughts were. So Jen Thomas, MWEG's co-director, is here joining us today, just to help share some spotlights. Jen, do you want to share what your favorite part of the conference, or what your best takeaways?
So that is like asking what my favorite child is. I'm not going to fall into that trap, but I am going to say that this year the speakers were extraordinary, just all of them. And if you had the opportunity to attend the conference or watch some sessions in real time, I would really encourage you to find time and space to see some of the others that you might be interested in, because we pulled together the conference really in an attempt to give you hope and give you vision for the future, but also to help you see the breadth and scope of the mission of this remarkable organization that we're members of. And regularly, people kind of want to reduce us to either one small thing or define us. And what the conference gives us the opportunity to do is to say, no, this is who we are. This is who we are in all of our glory, both in terms of the kind of women that present to us, the messages that they deliver, and then specifically the women who are attending. I think before I hand this off, because I would love to hear other people's experiences, I wanted to share two things. This is a quote from one of the presenters who is not a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, who she was writing to me afterwards, thanking me for the opportunity to speak. And this is a quote: "There was something absolutely ethereal and intangible in that space. Those women gave off an energy of goodness that is hard to describe, and I feel like I may have been permanently transformed." And that is a testament to the people that were in the room, not necessarily to the organizing principles or to MWEG itself, but to the women itself who gathered in that space to participate. And they were clearly bringing something so joyful and celebratory and good to that space, that someone outside just raved about how this was unlike any conference experience that she'd ever been to. And then the second thing that I want to share with you is from a pretty important person that we had invited to attend and sort of experience the MWEG conference. And that person responded to me with a really dear and pleasant voice message that essentially just said, and I'm not going to quote because that would be, I think, inappropriate in this circumstance, but essentially just said that it has been a long time since they have been in a place that felt so hopeful. That was a group of people who were clearly aware of what was happening in the world, but were using their faith to generate a hope and a sense of possibility for the future. And that warmed my heart to a degree that I can't express, because I know what we often face in the work that we have undertaken is difficult and challenging. There are bumps in the road, and there are people who are not very nice about it. But we can be confident that what we are doing is good and true, and that we have a set of principles that are our North Star that we are traveling by. And most importantly, I think the MWEG conference gives us an opportunity to see the caliber of the women who have joined in that work, and that caliber is just extraordinary. So if you were there, thank you. You contributed greatly to the experience, whether you realized it or not.
Yeah, thank you. And it's so nice to hear feedback from our presenters, because often we are just thanking them because we're gushing over what they presented. So it is really nice. When we did a conference preview a few weeks before the conference, I shared a little bit of our conference overview. And I'm just going to remind everybody as we go through in planning this, that what we This is what we shared with either our sponsors or our speakers. The conference is designed to build and reinforce our MWEG community and to empower women to act boldly in pursuit of MWEG's advocacy and empower efforts for the next 12 months. And so that is what we really hope. This is open sharing. We asked people to come and join us. Some people had left some comments. This is a discussion. What did you go away with feeling empowered to do over the next 12 months? If anybody, just pop on, unmute yourself, show us your cute face, and what did you feel, Jen?
I was just going to say, or if you're like, I am in my pajamas, I'm not popping on, then just
Oh,
unmute
you
yourself.
don't.
Yeah.
Or that too. Yes, some of us are in that. But does anybody want to share? Or share your favorite speaker, what or your favorite session?
I can share. Can you hear me?
Okay, we can.
I am in my pajamas and I was not planning on popping on, but I was watching from Oregon the whole time. And I will say that you guys really know your members very well. Oh my gosh. I don't cry. Anyway, it was very hopeful, which is absolutely 1,000% what I needed. I know maybe not everyone felt this way, but 2025 was real rough. And so, beginning of the year, I was like, it's a new year. If we can get through 2025, we can get through anything. And then 2026 started, and turns out it's been real rough so far too. And so, so I have had a hard time. And I think, being a mom of three young kids growing, and kids that are 14, 12, and 8, so they're aware enough. um, I think God knew I needed hope and needed that for them too in growing. And there was a lot of hope in that conference, and it was really beautiful to see. And um, I've been sitting on these postcards for like a couple months, and I knew I was gonna need to get through this month. I had a couple big things going on, but I did yesterday finally book a room in the library for a postcard party, and we're gonna watch that one cute rom-com, The Elephant in the Room. I'm just gonna have it playing while we do it. So, and a year ago we did the quilting at the same room in the library, and so not exactly a year, but about a year. And so that was exciting to um, do something about it. And then I also will just say that Jennifer's closing comments were really impacted me in the fact that it was easy this past year to start taking more information from one side just because it fed my uh, emotions. And so the reminder of do not kind of fall prey to that and be objective in your thinking and in moving forward. And it's not the answers aren't going to be in one side or the other kind of message. Really was wonderful. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It was all lovely.
Ashton, that makes me so happy.
Thank you for sharing. Okay. Anybody else have some thoughts?
I'll say something. I just needed to be in the same space as everyone. I just needed to feel that love and that hope and that encouragement and that you're not alone and we're in this together and also that I don't have to do everything all at the same time. And all the speakers were wonderful and it was just and just to get some hugs and just to be together. It just is really important. And I loved it. And of course, I can't wait till next year too.
That collective energy, right?
And I just want to know that that is one of the most important things MWEG is trying to build, which is a sense of community, because it's really hard to do courageous things and it's really hard to stay out of what Ashton just described as like crazy echo chambers unless you've got a good group to rely on. And that's one of the things that our communities director and team does so well, is help build a sense of community at MWEG.
Yeah. So so one of the things I was thinking about is if you were there in person, and did you, if you saw our little community wall asking some questions, and our community teams also had some name tags that said, ask me about. I'm just curious if you participated and put a star on the wall with your ideas or your thoughts or your feelings about MWEG there that day. If anybody wants to share.
I totally missed the star thing. I missed that. But I did put Ask Me Anything, and mine was Ask Me About North Idaho. And a ton of people did. And so it was great to be able to share and just have that connection. So that was great.
Yes. And we just, so if in case you didn't hear, we had women represented at the conference, participating at the conference in over 33 states. So this was not just a Intermountain West group of women. This was not just Utah, Idaho, with a little sprinkling of, other states. There were a lot of women from a lot of states. And so it was nice to see perspective and to feel that it's not just regional in certain areas, of people digging in and saying, holding our elected officials accountable. So who else would like to share maybe a session that has just been sticking with you, or just a thought that has stuck with you since the conference, of some that has given you some encouragement to act? Anybody? I will say that as I've gone through and watched some of the recordings, watching Sui Ling Pinoke, excuse me, watching the beautiful interaction of her and her mother and sharing their culture as they interact, and then the stories of the women who also shared of their ancestry and their journey, to be part of our country and this community was really a lovely message. And we had like a bonus speaker with her from Roots Tech, who was sharing about how to connect, with all of that. Did anybody else share that or watch that session? Oh, EJ, she in the comments, she said, I enjoyed having a conversation with lots of different women about how they got involved with it. That was another lovely part of being able to see in real time those who we had that survey to see how many women, and there were a lot of women there that they're new to our community and they're new to MWEG, and they are excited to be part of something of this community. Let's see what other ones. Oh, Ashton was asking if there was anybody else from Oregon. I know there were multiple registrations. I'd have to look and see if they were virtual or in person.
I watched from Kansas. Can you
Yeah.
hear me? And I also put it in the chat because I have a very noisy dog. But I found
okay.
that, Dr. Johnson's statement that we are not entitled to live in a democracy. I'm almost 70 years old, and that's all I know. That was like hitting a wall. She's right, but it's still very disconcerting. And so it makes me want to work even harder, and I'm glad that there is MWEG, because you don't feel like you're alone and isolated. You've got the force of other people working with you.
Yes, Jeannie Johnson is just so lovely, and her experience has so much depth to what she has seen, and then her experience of teaching. And so there's just so much wisdom. And I would highly recommend that if you haven't been able to go back and watch the recordings, you have that link. If you have already registered for the conference, the recordings were available right after they spoke, essentially. And you can go right to those links and go back and listen to each of the speakers if there's sessions that you missed, because obviously you can't be in 3 places at once. Go back and listen to those recordings and get those nuggets that might give you the hope that we were talking about earlier, or that you might give you just an idea of how you, like Carla saying, like, oh, now it's time to really dig in and protect, the democracy that we have built over all of these centuries, or the last 2.5, right? Let's see what else we have here. Amber said she attended in person and the speakers were wonderful, but she wanted to mention, restrooms. Yes. Thank you for that feedback. It's a little bit crazy. We have to go to different floors to get more space. And they were going to put a sign and say, just use the men's, because most of us were women there. Ashton said she loved the music of Shayna brought to the conference. Shared the Statue of Liberty song with some of my friends who missed the conference. Music is powerful. It really is. And that was such a treat to have her with us and to share her talents. And from her perspective, obviously she's been doing this. And if you go back and look at the different times when she released that, I want to say it was 2018, maybe 2017, when she wrote that one. And then Suffs, obviously that came about in 2024. So this is something that you could tell as she was speaking, but it's something that she has been using her musical talents as her voice for advocacy for years. So it's really into her. I love that Diane said she's been humming those songs, Keep Marching. That's kind of one of those things when I'm deep doing my work, even sometimes I just pop that on from the soundtrack and just, such a great anthem for the women of MWEG and the women of our country, as we are all still fighting, right, to keep our rights. Any other thoughts or favorites or quotes?
I got this comment sent to me from Deanne, and she just said, our one-day conference was a huge validation for the work we do. So I just love that she pointed out that was a validation for those little things that we do every day, even though it doesn't feel like we're changing the world, that it does matter and it does make a difference.
Thank you. And I was going to look and see if you want to add your
Rachel.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, it froze. I just want to tell everybody that beautiful face you just saw was Clarissa, and that Clarissa and Rachel here are the masterminds behind our entire conference. They are the ones that pull it all together logistically. They're ones that think about all of the tiny little touch points that make your experience so rich and lovely and so very female, right? Like it doesn't feel like a professional conference run by dudes, because it isn't. It's a place that we want you to feel warm and connected, and those little touches like flowers and the little gifts that come and the ways they invite you to contribute are all very much an acknowledgement of who you are. And these women put hours of their lives into pulling that, thinking it through, ordering things, stockpiling them, pulling them together, and presenting the experience of your speakers. And we're just really, really grateful to them. So we really can't talk about, I probably should have said at the beginning that you two are my favorite part about the conference, because that's probably true. You're really amazing to work with.
Thank you. It's really actually, it's when it's a success, and hearing the feedback is actually what makes it so meaningful. So I was just going to read a couple other comments from some of our members from the conference, just in case just to inspire you to go and rewatch. One comment was, Shayna Taub singing Keep Marching had me in tears and inspired me to keep moving forward in the work that I'm trying to do. It was also powerful and inspiring and beautiful. Dr. Jeannie Johnson was a huge highlight. And we had another one that from another member that was able to attend in person who had not been able to in the past. She said, I'm not sure I could pick just one favorite, but it would probably be a tie between Shayna Top's performance and songs and getting together with women in such an empowering way. I got to meet a bunch of people I've interacted with online, which was great. So that was one of the things. I get to see Kim Lewis. I get to see her face on the Grow and see some comments in the Idaho space. And then just as I was walking by, I think with laptop in my underhand, she said, "Hey, Rachel." And I thought, yes, I recognize that face. And it's just, it is one of those things that we have such a community, and we interact and we comment and we share and we lift each other up, and we just see these names or these circles on MWEG Central, or or faces on Facebook in the discussion group. But really, when we get to see the Grow, is such a great part because I get to see your faces. But also the conference really gives that to us. Let's see. Another comment was that they found Melissa Dalton Bradford's talk about authoritarianism fascinating. If you haven't had a chance, or if you were not able to squeeze yourself into the very full room, that is a great one to go back and watch. And she gives a little bit of warning signs because she's kind of following the history of authoritarianism from past, and gives us a great roadmap to kind of what to look out for, but also how we can fight it and how we can keep our voices and keep it relevant. Let's see who else. Some of these are similar to what you have shared, just being together. Let's see. If you came to the conference, I love this. It says, Megan Woods is just saying, my niece was with me, and the word she used to describe the conference was joy. This was her first experience with MWEG. If you brought a guest, and I don't know who, I will tell you, I did bring a first timer, and I'll share that. But if you brought a guest, and what was their experience? What was their thoughts similar to Megan's niece? I will say, for the first time, my mom attended, and this is my 6th year doing the MWEG conference. I've shared links with her in the past, encouraging her to watch, and I think she had watched a few, but this was her first time joining in person. She lives in Wyoming, and she loved every minute of it. And I thought, this is really great, because she's always kind of been a little bit skeptical of what is MWEG and what is this group doing. And no matter how much I encourage the peacemaking, but I will say that there's been times where our families had a rift, and I just told her the convictions of, I work for a peacemaking organization, and I believe in these values so deeply that I want you to join me. Essentially, it was an invitation, and that was a few years ago. And so to have her there and to hear speakers sharing those same ideas and like reinforcing my feelings, in person for my own mom, I thought was really special. So if you brought a guest, what was their takeaway? Or if you invited somebody to watch with you, because I know there were a couple people that had a little watch party. I don't know if they're on our call today.
I invited my sister-in-law who'd never been to the conference, but she's actually how I found out about MWEG. So I don't know how I ended up at the conference before she did, but she came to me after that first session, and she started crying. She was like, this is such a powerful experience, and just really loved it. So I'm glad she was able to come, because I think she'll be back next year.
And if you're a sustaining member and attended in person, you saw a little piece of art that was done for MWEG. And the artist that was MWEG was a little bit new to her as well, even though she's Clarissa's neighbor. And she's she's kind of in the LDS artist scene, so she might be familiar to some of you, but her name's Amber Eldridge. She came, and it was really lovely to have her there, but I just talked to her for a few minutes in between a session and heard her, talking to some other women from MWEG, and just it seemed like she was really happy to be there. And just since she was new to this and she was doing this art for us, just reinforcing the power of sisterhood and the power of women collectively was really great. Anything else anybody wants to share? Well, I will encourage you, like I said, go back and watch the recordings. And if somebody comes to mind, you can still share with them. They can get a virtual ticket that will give them access to all of the recordings that's there. We can share the link to that. Let's see if I have it right at my fingertips. Not at my fingertips in the million of tabs I have open. We'll post that in MWEG Central, but share the conference with them and just share it with what it meant to you to participate, or maybe what it means for you as a member of MWEG. You could share the conference that way. Jen, do you have any final words? No. We just want to thank all of you for being on today's Grow. We want to,
let me say one thing. I was muted. If you have someone that you have been struggling to help understand MWEG, and or who you feel like sort of has mistrust around it, it's worth spending potentially $25 to share the conference with them, and to be able to say, hey, here are the 2 sessions I think would really help you understand why this organization matters to me, or that I personally see that you might enjoy. And so I found it personally to be, like, as Rachel said, one of the most effective ways to help people get a grasp of this thing that I do that sometimes they're even quite suspicious of. So it's a game changer. The conference, for whatever reason, is a game changer and a heart changer. So it's a good peace building strategy to share.
Yes, thank you. And you will, if you bought a ticket to this conference, if you either way, virtual or in person, you're going to get a survey, and we love feedback to hear what speakers, what topics, those different things. It helps us plan for next year. It helps us plan for programs coming in, in the future. It helps us think about Grow guests, all of those different things, to get feedback about what our members are most interested in learning about and working towards, so that they can go out and be advocates in their own right. So keep an eye out for that. And if you'll just share your feedback with us, we would really appreciate that. And Clarissa put in the conference that you can, where you can share that. So you can actually go and, like Jen said, you can register that person, just put their email address in it. They'll get an email that says, hey, here's a link to watch some videos. So you can follow that up. But we want to thank you for being with us today, for sharing your experiences, and for being part of MWEG and being part of this community. Next week, we're gonna go back. Next week, we're gonna prepare for Easter with one of our root directors, Julie Spilsbury, talking about joy and hope. And so we hope that you'll join us. And then, since we bumped media literacy, that'll be in a couple of weeks, April 9th, which will be pre-recorded, but still you can join the Grow, and it'll be up to watch that recording. So thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.